Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary and high school age. Today I am joining in on a collaboration with Davine from Calm in the Chaos Homeschool, as well as Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool, all about finding community as homeschoolers. So let's get into it. Okay guys, I want to let you know that I have the playlist for this entire collaboration in the description box, as well as anything else that I'm going to chat about. I will definitely leave that in the description box. If you are looking for more help and encouragement around home and homeschool and goals, I would love for you to come check out my membership community. That is a great way to find community as a homeschooler. That link is always in the description box. So let's get into it. Okay. I think that this might be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to just get it out of the way. I do not believe that as homeschoolers, we need to surround ourselves with homeschoolers. And I know that that sounds a little strange. I think, well, for me personally, when I first started homeschooling, my kids were very little preschool age. And so I already knew what I was planning to do. But as they started to get into the elementary years, as they started to get a little bit older, as I had to start reporting to the state as far as our main homeschool laws, I realized that I didn't know any local homeschoolers, and I thought that I needed to have a co-op community. I needed to have homeschoolers to support me through the journey. And I do think that it is important to find community to support you as a homeschooler, but I don't necessarily think it needs to be homeschoolers that do that support. And the reason is because I just didn't have that. I didn't have that, and I feel like we have been extremely successful in our homeschool journey. Emma's in her last year of high school. I feel like we have had some amazing years. Are some of them challenging? Absolutely. But we have never had that homeschool co-op that you often hear about. Now, I did think that I needed a homeschool co-op. How were my kids going to socialize if they weren't in a homeschool co-op? If they didn't have homeschool friends, what were they going to do? And it was a little while before I realized, oh, I don't know any homeschoolers. So we have to look elsewhere for community. And so instead of looking to other homeschoolers in my community, I did a couple of things. First, I looked online because I did need some support. I needed to be able to research different curriculum. I needed to understand different homeschool methods, different ways to educate my children. I needed to understand what my homeschool philosophy was going to be, and it really developed over many years. It wasn't something that I decided on when we started homeschooling. I'm going to be a Charlotte Mason homeschooler, and then I just stuck to that. That was not the case for me. I went through many iterations of what I felt were good ways to homeschool my kids, and the thread through all of them is literature-based homeschooling, but we've done a lot of other stuff as well. So the first place I was looking for community was really other homeschool moms that were maybe a little bit ahead of me. And that is one of the reasons that I actually started writing about homeschooling and sharing my own journey, because I like to hear other people's stories and what they were doing and what was working for them. And so I didn't necessarily need that in-person help. Part of that is because I'm an introvert, and so I don't necessarily need a whole lot of in-person interaction day to day, but also I wanted specific information about specific types of homeschooling, and that is going to be really challenging to find. But then, as my kids started to get a little bit older and I knew we didn't have a homeschool community around us, I still wanted to have community. But instead of looking for homeschool specific events or meetups or whatnot, I just put us into our actual community. We started to get involved with church, and we have a small group that has kids that are all of my kids' ages, and that's what we did for community. We went to the library and got to know the people that were at the library when we went. We would go to other community events. We participated in rec sports. We participated in public school activities as well. And so we were building community within our community, but not homeschool specific. And even now, most of my kids' friends are in the public school. Most of my friends are public school parents. They're not homeschoolers. And we have just learned that in order to find community, you have to look within your community, but it does not need to just be homeschool specific. Now, obviously, if you want to join a co-op or if you want to be involved in a homeschool group, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if you have that option in your area, I think that's great. When my kids were little, we didn't have that. And now that they're older, it just doesn't fit into our schedule because we have a rhythm, and taking time out of our day to go do something else isn't really something that anybody is interested in. Perhaps Lucy, especially as Jack and Emma kind of finish up high school, I will still have her for many years. And so she may want to do a homeschool group at some point. But for the most part, we are looking for community in the places that everybody looks for community, within sports, within our church, within community groups, arts, museums, all of that kind of stuff. We are looking for any activity that might be for kids. You can look at dance studios if you have a kid who enjoys dance. You can look at rec sports, or if there are homeschool sports in your area, you can also do that. But it doesn't necessarily have to be homeschool specific. And I think that that is one of the biggest hurdles that homeschoolers have to kind of overcome, because oftentimes when you first start out, you do think you need to be part of a homeschool co-op. You do feel like you should be surrounding yourself with other homeschoolers because they're kind of going through the same things as you. But I would say take a step back from that, and instead of thinking only about homeschoolers, think about just kids in general. Go to the park, go to the library, enroll your kids in an activity. It doesn't have to be homeschool specific. In fact, I think that it's good to not just be in homeschool specific activities and just to be a part of the community overall. I think a lot of homeschoolers think that you have to be part of a co-op in order to be successful as a homeschooler. You can't go it alone. And I would disagree with that wholeheartedly. Now, I think that if you have the opportunity to do that, definitely try it out. It's not going to hurt anything if you try it out and realize that it's not for you. But if you don't have that kind of group in your area, I also think it's okay to look other places for community. It does not have to be homeschool specific. Now that my kids are older, we do know a lot more homeschoolers. There's a lot more homeschool events that we do. My kids go to like homeschool prom and homeschool dances and stuff like that, but we're not involved in a regular weekly homeschool group, and that's okay with us. And they are all happy to have public school friends. So what are the ways that I do find community? All of those ways, just within our individual community, is how I find community for my kids, for myself. Church, extracurricular activities, public school, music, or sports. Emma did band for many, many years until it just didn't work with her schedule anymore. She ran varsity cross country for the high school, which she loved. You still have a lot of opportunity to be in community with others, even if you don't have homeschool specific events. But if you are looking for homeschool community, I would definitely recommend looking online at Facebook groups. I mean, you may even find Facebook groups that encompass large areas around you. And maybe they're not super close, maybe you have to drive, but you still have the opportunity to communicate with other homeschoolers in your state or in your area. For me personally, I own a Facebook group called Maine Homeschool Network. It encompasses the entire state, but it does give people the opportunity to find people in their area. Maine is a little strange because we have a very large state, but not very many people in the state. And so oftentimes, unless you're in one of the city centers, you do have to travel quite a ways to get places to meet up with other homeschoolers, but there are little clusters of homeschoolers all over the state, and running a large statewide group like I do still gives you the opportunity to ask questions and bounce ideas off of one another. And it is kind of local in the fact that it is our state, and you may be able to find particular people in your area, but it's not something where you necessarily have to be going to a co-op once a week or twice a week to be in community with other homeschoolers. So I know that's a little bit different, and probably a lot of people will give you ideas on how to find homeschoolers in your area. I mean, I think that oftentimes you will find homeschoolers if you are just out in the community. Homeschoolers love to go to the library. They love to go, and have bowling leagues or ice skating groups. So they will meet weekly to go ice skating, or rec sports, or even homeschool sports. Our state has a lot of homeschool related activities now, since 2020. Before 2020, it wasn't as big, but since 2020, there are a lot more opportunities. And so I would search online for Facebook groups for your state. I'm sure that almost every state has big Facebook groups with homeschoolers. And then you can go in and search your particular area, or a local city, one that isn't too far away, that you may be able to incorporate into your weekly rhythm if you want to be with other homeschoolers. And so that is another option. It can be homeschool specific. It doesn't have to be homeschool specific. It does not have to be a regular occurrence. It can be an occasional get together. It can be something that is very low key, and or it can be something that's very formal. And then the last kind of hint I have for you is that if you really want homeschool community with other homeschoolers and you can't find it, create it. And that is often really challenging. We want to be able to walk into something that's already been established. We don't want to put in all of the work that is associated with creating that kind of community. But if it's something that really means a lot to you, you should start it yourself. And it does take a lot of work. It does take a lot of commitment. But if it's something that you're really passionate about, starting it yourself is the best option if you cannot find anything like that in your area. Make it very low key at first, just put out a couple of notices at the library. If you're a homeschooler, we're also homeschoolers, and we're going to be meeting at such and such a time for whatever, a book club, or our library has Legos for in the children's room, or games like board games, or a knitting circle or whatnot. There are so many options available, but you just have to take the initiative to do that. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it's a little bit maybe strange. It's funny to me to think that the majority of my kids' friends are public schooled. The majority of my friends are public school parents. The majority of our community has really come from our church and local events that we just participate in as a broader community. It's not homeschool specific. And that has really worked for us. And we've had an amazing run at homeschooling over the past 14, 15 years. It has been a lot of fun, and I don't feel as though my kids are missing out because we have not had a homeschool specific group. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I would love to hear what you do for community. Is it something where you are looking specifically for other homeschoolers, or do you just get out into your community and do the events that your local town or city does on occasion? Do you go to the library, or do you have like a coffee shop that you go to and see other people? I know I said I was going to wrap up, but I think one of the benefits of homeschooling is that we have the opportunity to not just be with peers. We have the opportunity to be with all ages. So we can meet people that are older at the library. We can, meet different people at the coffee shop. It just depends on the environment that you're going to and how much you want to put into being part of that community. So thank you again so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Again, if you are looking for homeschool community and you are okay with not in-person homeschool community, I would love for you to come check out my membership community. That link again is in the description box. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.